are listening to Here Comes the Booze, a very special podcast, Halloween edition.
No way, I wouldn't kiss a girl for nothing.
The Brady Bunch, a loving family that wants to be loved by you.
I want to be loved by you alone. Boop-boop-ba-doop. Boop-boop-ba-doop.
Can red lips kiss my blues away?
Not really.
A fun family, the Brady Bunch.
Alice, aren't you scared of anything?
Nope. Oh, come on. What about horror movies and vampires?
Oh, vampires give me a pain in the neck. That's pretty good.
What about werewolves?
All bark, no bite. Boy, Alice, when you're hot, you're hot.
Here's the story of sitcom life.
Greg's gonna be famous.
Max the husband,
Greg, I want to see you in my den.
Carol's the wife.
You know, I think kids today are too grown up to get involved in such childish behavior.
TV's favorite family. Florence Henderson has personality.
Greg.
Peter, Bobby, Greg, Marcia, Cindy, Jan. Alice got her meat from Butcher Sam. They drive me Brady. Ooh, ooh. 3 boys, 3 girls. Ooh, ooh. They drive me Brady, the youngest one in girls.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Here Comes the Booze, the podcast within the podcast of a very special podcast. I'm Patrick M. Dunn. You probably remember me from previous episodes, and I'm joined here, as always, by Kat Halstead, the author, the international award-winning author.
I am.
I'm assuming you must have sold a book to someone across the pond or something at some point in time.
Oh yeah, I've sold books internationally. I was just like, you knew about that?
Yeah, it's on Amazon, so you could probably get them anywhere in the world.
Yeah, pretty much.
Everyone is dying for your Halloween thriller, The Spirit Board.
Yes, The Spirit Board. Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm still working on that audiobook.
We're in the season where we're going to push The Spirit Board because it's about a haunted Ouija board.
Yes, it is.
And it unleashes a Jared Leto-like demon into the world.
Yes.
Is his name Damien?
No, it's Donovan.
Oh, Donovan. I knew it began with a D and it ended in an N.
No, Damien is way too obvious. Come on.
I don't know. I had the devil on my mind. We are in Halloween season.
We are, yes.
This is the season of tricks and or treats.
And tonight, are we dealing with tricks or are we dealing with treats?
I say tonight we're specifically dealing with tricks.
And not the Roseanne kind.
Designated for small children kind of tricks.
Yes.
We've ventured into Brady territory in the past. We've done the Very Brady Christmas, which was their late 80s Christmas special that, it was great. It was amazing. You got to see the Bradys as older people.
It is an American classic, and everybody should watch it every year.
It's on Hulu. You can watch it for free. I don't even think you have to be a member to watch it.
Hulu's getting away from the free stuff.
Oh, are they? Then I take that back.
Subscriber only.
It'll probably be on Freeform or whatever ABC Family is called now.
Yeah.
Come, Black Friday.
The 25 Days of Christmas?
Yeah. As soon as we get through, Halloween and the weird Thanksgiving-y season, they'll start playing this a few times. You'll probably see it 3 or 4 times.
Hopefully.
Or you could just listen to our podcast. It's an hour long. We summarize it beautifully.
We do. I just listened to it the other night.
Yeah, we pretty much covered it from beginning to end.
We did.
Including our snippy commentary on how fucking crazy Carol is in that episode.
Oh my god, Carol. I never realized how crazy Carol was until the last couple of years where I'm just like, oh my god, this woman is out of her freaking mind.
Yes, because when you are growing up, you're a child, you just see her as an adult figure. She has authority, she's in charge, she makes the rules, she cooks, cleans. Actually, that's mostly Alice. We don't really know what Carol does.
Carol makes sculptures and drinks coffee.
We've talked about this for, I think, the last 2 years whenever we do something Brady Bunch related, or we just kind of randomly chat about it in our text messages to each other. We don't know why Alice and Carol live in the Brady Bunch house together. Because Carol obviously doesn't work. She's home all day.
Yeah.
I know that before Mike married Carol, Alice was an employee of his. And she helped take care of the kids because, he was a hardworking man. He's always in the den drawing up some blueprints and stuff.
Yeah.
Doesn't have time for the little kiddos.
Yeah, he's a single dad. He didn't, single dads don't always know how to, raise a kid. Let's be real.
No, and they're boys, the three boys. They're just kind of wild. They were always getting into wacky shenanigans, sitcom-like scenarios. And he meets Carol. She has 3 kids. They're like, hey, let's just make a go at this. And there is an early season 1 episode, actually, in which Carol, is doing all the chores and Alice, quits for, maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I think she, packs up her suitcase. She gets as far as the door, and then they pretend, a scenario where they actually need Alice instead of Carol.
Well, because they want stuff to actually, get done properly. Let's be real. Carol probably doesn't really know how to clean.
No, and as we previously mentioned, we've come to learn that she is fucking crazy. She is insane. She's an insane woman.
Yeah.
We discussed this pre-podcast. We believe that, she's home all day. She needs some kind of inspiration to get her through the day because, she doesn't do anything. So we don't think she drinks because she'd be kind of sloppy. So we definitely think she's on some type of Valley of the Dolls-like pills.
Oh, yeah, she's totally, popping something.
Yes, uppers. Mostly uppers, I think, because she's always just...
Oh, yeah, definitely uppers.
Mike comes home, and then, do you think she takes a downer, or do you think she just kind of lets it get out of her system?
She probably takes the uppers, right before the kids, leave for school, That she's just, making it through the day, doing whatever it is she does, which we really don't understand what she does.
Yeah, we used to think she had a caffeine addiction, because when we watched, we did Day by Day, the Family Tie spinoff, which did a dream sequence episode, which involved the Brady Bunch, and Carol was, obsessed with coffee in that episode. So we were thinking that's probably what was really going on, but we suspect drugs.
We've reconsidered and decided that it's definitely some prescription happy pills.
Yes, plus it was the late 60s, early 70s. This was probably expected from stay-at-home moms.
Yeah, probably. Especially in, California.
And when your husband's, super rich, they're rich, right? I imagine they are.
I don't know. They have to make a decent, Mike has to make a decent living if they can afford to have 6 kids and have a housekeeper and live in LA. But it's also the 60s where things aren't as expensive, but still.
Yeah, I think LA was kind of a up-and-coming community.
Yeah.
It wasn't all just silver screen stars.
No.
Does Mike work at home, or does he actually have an office that he goes to? I can't quite...
No, he has an office he goes to, but then he can also work from home.
Yeah, he's just doodling and shit all day.
Yeah.
Working on some plans for a ballpark or something.
He's just this new apartment complex, I'll just work on those plans at home.
He can get some quality time in with the fam.
Yeah.
All right, so... I don't think we ever really got into the basics of the Brady Bunch series. So this was, it only aired for 5 seasons, believe it or not.
Yeah.
From 1969 to 1974. It was an ABC show.
Really?
And I believe it was on Friday night.
Okay.
The show did okay, I think, during its 5-year run. But the year it was canceled, it joined the syndication ranks where it just became this rating success.
Syndication is pretty much where the Brady Bunch
thrived.
Yeah.
And it did well because the show was popular amongst teenagers and young children, and it was a great show because it actually like spoke to the children because everything was like shot under their perspective, like, and it dealt with things like sibling rivalry and playing like wacky pranks on each other.
Yeah.
As we get in this episode, and the parents were just kind of there for moral support and guidance and be an authority figure, and Alice was just there to cook and clean and I guess go to the butcher shop.
Hit on Sam the Butcher?
Yes.
We are definitely of the age that grew up watching the Brady Bunch in syndicated repeats. Am I right?
Yes, it was on in the afternoon, maybe like late afternoon, 4:30, like right before dinner time.
I had it on in the mornings. Like, I remember being like in preschool, in kindergarten, watching it before I had to go to school because I was in the afternoon sessions. So it'd be like that thing you watch in the morning with Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie and Gilligan's Island. So I I had that little block of TV.
Yeah, it was probably on like 3 or 4 different channels too, locally, wherever you were. Like, it wasn't just on one network. It was like that Saved by the Bell thing where you would get to see like probably like 4 or 5 episodes each day.
It's one of those shows that was always on somewhere in the world, and it probably still is.
Oh yeah, it's probably on like TV Land right now or TBS or something.
Hallmark Channel.
Oh.
Yeah, I put it on the other day when I was with my nephew, and I was eating lunch, and we were sitting on the couch in the family room. I put it on, kind of like stared at the TV, and then he stared at me while I was singing along to the theme song, because you kind of got to sing along to the theme song.
Was it the colors that drew your nephew in?
Maybe just a little bit, because it's a little more colorful.
Yeah, there was always something
different than what he normally watches.
There was always something about the show that drew me in. I think it was the theme song had the bright blue background, obviously in the squares, and then the actual like show was, there was just like a lot of earth tones and greens and appealing to the eye.
Yes, well, that was the 70s. That was the color palette of the 70s.
Yes. Speaking of the color palette of the 70s, Carol's blouse in this episode, I think in her first scene, it was green and like paisley-like.
Yeah.
It was spectacular. And
it was like this weird olivey green color.
And I believe Carol may have invented the man bun.
Oh, really?
Yes, there is a scene, I think, where she is sculpting Mike's bust out of clay. She has her hair tied back. She really didn't need to tie her hair back.
No, because she had that weird, like, mullet thing going on.
Yes, but she tied the back of her hair, like, in a bun, basically, and it looked like the modern-day man bun.
Okay.
So I bet some Gen Xer in the early 90s was probably watching this. Some man with probably the same length of hair as Carol Brady and was like, you know what?
Yes, probably.
I'm gonna rock that look. That looks really good. And he just tied his hair back, and now it's this whole phenomenon.
Yes.
So I think we can thank Carol Brady for the man bun.
Thanks, Carol. It only works on a few men, and even then.
Should we add that to the Wikipedia page for the Brady Bunch?
We totally should add that to the Wikipedia page.
We'll definitely add it to our website. We'll make like a meme, like Carol Brady, inventor of the man bun, and I'll do a screen cap. So
okay.
Definitely check out our website, a very special podcast.com.
I know. I was like, oh my God, what URL is he going to give?
Yes. And do you think we confused listeners with that this has 2 titles, the podcast this week?
I don't know. Maybe not.
I think we should just clear the air on that one because it's Halloween season, we have a subtitle for our podcast, like Simpsons has Trios of Horror, so we're going to be Here Comes the Booze.
I feel like you underestimate how intelligent our listeners are sometimes.
Yeah, but what if this is the first one they're listening to?
True. Okay.
I always wonder these things because we just kind of jump out there and talk about things we've previously mentioned.
And then, yeah.
I'm like, shit, you know what? We don't mention what that means. They're not going to go back and watch, like, the...
Watch? Are you secretly putting videos up somewhere?
They're not going to go back and listen to the Mr. Ed episode.
You never know. They might. They just might want to know that Mr. Ed is the one who created glamping.
We definitely point out a lot of groundbreaking things in this podcast. Like, the cast of Mr. Ed invented glamping, which is glamorous camping. Carol Brady invented the man bun. And I'm sure there's other things we've broke on this podcast.
Probably. There for sure, if I could remember some of our podcasts, if I wasn't blackout drunk.
Many of these podcasts involves wine, so sometimes crazy things happen.
Sometimes. You never know what's gonna happen.
I think we should get into the Brady Bunch episode.
Okay.
So the episode we chose to do tonight, it was a season 4 episode 6. It was called Fright Night.
Fright Night. And what is the original air date?
It aired on October 27th, 1972, about 9 years before I was born.
Yes.
So the lineup that night on ABC, so this is like way before ABC had TJF on Fridays, but they still had somewhat of a family-oriented lineup.
Okay.
So the Brady Bunch kicked things off at 8 o'clock. They were immediately followed by the Partridge Family at 8:30, which was kind of like basically the Brady Bunch, but involved music.
And didn't have a father? You had a single mother?
They just had a mom. Room 222 was on at 9.
Okay, what was that? Do you know?
It dealt with school. I remember, like, it involved a school.
Yeah, I feel like that's, like, the classroom number, but I don't think it's one of those shows that gets the replay.
The concept of the show was that it was based on the real-life Los Angeles high school, and it was shot at the Walt Whitman High School in Los Angeles, California. Guess it focused around the teachers, maybe, and some of their students. It was probably, like, an early take on Boston Public, maybe.
Okay.
And then at 9:30, we had The Odd Couple.
Odd Couple. I love The Odd Couple. I even love The Update with Matthew Perry.
I have not seen it. Matthew Perry had like a string of canceled series that just span the decade and a half since Friends ended.
Yeah.
Like, did he have one like Go On, maybe? Is that what it was called? Or Getting On?
Go On.
He had Go On, and I think
that was a good one too.
Yeah, I kind of like that one. It was like a half-season wonder. And then he had a few others.
Yeah, no, it was a whole season. It had a whole season. It had a whole 22 episodes.
Yeah, see, audiences, once you have an actor like Matthew Perry who really like breaks ground with a character or a cast such as Friends, it's really hard for them to find success right away. So they probably will go through a few things before they eventually settle into something that works for them. Kind of like how David Schwimmer found his next true calling in life playing Rob Kardashian Sr. on The People vs. O.J. Simpson.
I really need to watch that. I have not watched that yet.
And his tiny wigs, his tiny Rob Kardashian wig with like the silver streak.
Oh my gosh.
Alright, so the subject matter of this Brady Bunch episode is, although it's considered their Halloween episode, the word Halloween isn't actually uttered in this episode.
Yeah.
But it does involve ghosts and some hauntings.
And it did air right before Halloween.
Yes. So maybe like a Halloween episode wasn't quite the rage yet.
We've talked about this and how Roseanne had to fight to get to do a Halloween episode. They just didn't do Halloween episodes.
I mean, there were a few here and there. I think like Bewitched did one because we talked about doing it this year for the podcast.
Bewitched. But when you have a TV show about witches...
I mean, it is their wheelhouse after all.
Yeah, exactly.
But the episode deals with, supposedly, the Brady Bunch household is haunted.
Yes.
The girls are in their bedroom. It's late at night. And Cindy wakes up. She's like the first one who wakes up. And she hears like a creaking noise. Like a slight creaking noise. It sounds like someone might be like roaming around in the attic upstairs above her.
Yeah.
And Jan wakes up at the exact same time.
But of course.
And they're kind of just like staring at each other like, what the fuck is that noise? Marsha's sleeping through this whole thing. She doesn't even wake up. But Cindy and Jan, they like stand up and they're just kind of like looking around the room. And I guess they just like happen to look out the window and they see a ghost floating in the trees.
Yes. They see this like ghost thing. You know what? If I looked out my window and I saw that, I'd probably be pretty freaked out.
Yes. So it was like your classic Charlie Brown costume ghost where it was just a white sheet floating. Like it looked like it was translucent stuff. You could see through it.
Yeah, because it was just like projected on. It wasn't like there was a sheet hanging on. They actually like projected the image. But I noticed that it looked like the image was moving, but that could have, I think, thinking about it now, it was probably just the wind moving the tree branches.
Yeah, all right, so what ended up happening is in the room next door, the boys are sleeping. They stole the film projector and they took a slide of like Peter wearing a sheet over his head and they projected it onto the tree. And I think the branches were moving, so it actually looked like a ghost floating in the sky and moving. But the girls scream, and as soon as they scream, they must shut off the projector, so the ghost disappears. It was right when Marsha wakes up, and she doesn't see any of this nonsense going on.
Yeah.
She was like too busy dreaming about like Davy Jones or
Desi Arnaz Jr., whichever one she was into at that point.
Whatever heartthrob, like 70s heartthrob. Greg.
Probably.
So Mom and Dad run in. Mike and Carol just come busting in. They're kind of like, what's going on? And they're like, oh my god, we saw a ghost outside. And we heard them like walking around the attic. It was floating in the trees. Alice comes in. She's wearing her like night robe, and she thought it might have been like her, I don't know, like a blouse she had or something that was like she left out in the clothesline that day.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, like it disappeared. It's not like your blouse just like vanished.
They're like all trying to like come up with a logical explanation.
Yeah, and they're all like, all the parents like, there's no such thing as ghosts, like etc. etc. And so the parents leave the bedroom, and the boys come out of the room, like all three. They're all kind of just like, oh, what's going on in there? And Carol's like, oh, it was nothing. Like the girls thought they saw a ghost, but it was just like they actually went up into the attic, and the window was open in the attic, and I guess there was a rocking chair right next to the window.
Yeah, so they figured the rocking chair is what they heard creaking and yada yada yada.
They were never able to explain the ghost though, but they were able to explain the rocking chair.
Yeah.
So they explain this to the boys, and the boys go back in the room, and like the door's not even closed yet. You can hear them giggling, and Carol's like, well, I guess we found our ghost. They knew right away who it was. So Marcia kind of like talks some sense into the other two. She's like, you know what, it's probably the boys playing some stupid prank on us. Tomorrow morning when they're outside, I don't know, like riding their bikes or something, we'll try to get to the bottom of it. And they sneak into the room, and they like instantly find the projector, and the slide is like in there too.
Oh yeah, there's like, this stuff is not well hidden at all.
Well, you figure they would have woke up and they would have had to slip the projector back into wherever they took it from.
The family room?
The family room. Like, would have, like, Mike wanted to watch a slideshow or, like, have some kind of presentation for his clients, maybe? I don't know. Who knows? But they got lazy. They forgot about it. The girls find it. And now they've decided that they want to, I guess, return the...
Yeah, they want to get back at the boys. They want revenge.
She wants revenge.
I mean, wouldn't you want revenge on your sibling if they pulled this crap on you? I mean, didn't your brother get you back for the werewolf neighbor story at some point?
Yeah, like there was always some kind of like rivalry going on. I understand how Roseanne felt in the previous episode we did, the Roseanne episode where she plays a prank on somebody, she's expecting to be pranked back, and the neighbor decides to go the high road and not do that. So it's almost like a given that you're going to get re-pranked. So the girls play it up. They're at breakfast the next day, and they're just kind of like actually like talking about the ghosts, like how they believe it and all this crazy stuff's going on in the attic, and they somehow convince the boys into spending that night in the attic. They're willing to bet their allowance money.
Yeah, they're all willing to bet their allowance, which is maybe like what, $1 each?
It's like $1 each, but they show like the allowance jar. Like there's a scene with Alice and she has the allowance. It's like $3 bills and the rest is like coins.
Yeah.
And she just like pours it out into the hands. Like she's not actually counting the money. She's just like pouring it out.
Well, I think like they gave her the money. They all like gave her their allowance and she put it in that jar for safekeeping.
I just thought it might have been like Mike. He would, get his morning coffee and he would come back and that would be his like spare change. He'd throw it in that jar and that's what the kids got that week.
No.
It's like the money they used to buy like telescopes and
Chatty Cathy's and cards to build House of Cards to use their green stamps or whatever.
Did you have an allowance growing up at all?
Not really.
No, I never had it either. I never like understood that phenomenon. And I had like a paper route though in like 4th grade maybe.
Okay, so like when I was in high school, I would get money for like lunch and stuff, and then there'd always be like stuff left over, so I just saved that for like CDs or whatever.
Did you ever do that thing where, you would get like, I don't know, let's say you got $10 in lunch money for the week, and you would just not get lunch that week just so you can keep the money and do something with it later on?
Not exactly.
Oh, I did that thing a lot. I would like secretly make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, ask for lunch money. I would always be like, oh, that's my snack, like my like 9 a.m. snack. That's what I ate for lunch, and I'd like pocket the money, and then I'd have $10 to, I don't know, do what I needed $10 for.
To buy the new Blink-182 album?
Yeah. Enema of the State.
I still listen to that, so what am I?
Anyway, in the 70s, that's what kids saved money up for. Not CDs, but kitty carry-all accessories.
Or the new Davy Jones album.
Yeah, the 44 or whatever. What are records?
45.
45s. That was close. I was one number off.
You're one number off, Patrick. Gosh darn it.
See, I was never part of that era, so I don't know what a 45 is.
Oh, see, when I was a kid, we still listened to my mom's records, and like including the 45.
I don't recall. I always just remember cassettes mostly.
Yeah.
And then records were like things you would find from time to time at like an uncle's house, and you just wondered what the hell it was.
See, my mom was the mom who had all the albums still.
Okay. I don't think my parents didn't really buy music. I think they just mostly just were into whatever's on the radio.
Oh, to be honest, my mother basically still listened to the oldies station, the 50s and 60s stuff.
Everything is always in 20-year cycles, so whatever was like cool 20 years ago is cool again.
I guess so.
It appeals to the younger audience, just like the Brady Bunch appealed to us.
You brought it back home. Way to go, Patrick.
The boys decide they're going to spend the night in the attic. They get permission from Mike and Carol. They obviously know what's going on. They decide that they're going to allow this to happen because they firmly believe that, you know, the boys deserve what's coming to them, basically.
Yeah, like, okay, if they don't, it's still going to happen. Let's be real.
At some point in time.
Exactly. So they might as well just, like, let it happen and get it over with before these kids start, like, an all-out prank war. And we're here for 6 months while they're trying to prank each other and make each other think there's a freaking ghost in the house.
So, should we talk about how sophisticated their prank was?
Okay. Well, like the boys, we already said they had the projector set up.
So they obviously can't use the same thing.
Yeah. The girls can't do the exact same thing.
They have to take it to the next level. So the three boys, they're in their sleeping bags. They're laying on the hardwood floor of the attic. I guess there's like a treasure chest, some kind of like trunk that's in the attic.
It's probably the Halloween costume trunk.
So they took some kind of fishing line. They attached the fishing line to the trunk, and the fishing line ran out the window. It went into the girls' room, so they were able to like pull the trunk open. But they also had a second fishing line in there that was attached to like a piece of like cellophane, and so that was like rising out of the trunk. But they also tape recorded their voice.
Yeah, the tape recording, I am like confused how that actually worked.
So they were wondering how they got the ghost to talk, and Jan's like, oh, like we connected the fishing line to the tape recorder and was able to get the tape recorder to play. But you usually have to push down on the button to get the tape deck to play, so I could not understand how they got like a fishing line to push down on the tape deck. I couldn't figure it out.
I've been trying, unless there was like some sort of like, it was a switch or something instead of a button or a dial, because stuff had dials and whatnot back then.
Maybe there was like a knob and you tied it around it and like it popped out and that turned it on. I don't know. Or they could have had it playing and maybe like it looped, and all they had to do was like have the fishing line attached to the volume knob, and they turned the volume up.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
The logistics were really hard to figure out of this, and I had a hard time understanding it, but the boys ran out of the attic. They were scared. They believed it, so they lost their allowance money.
Yeah, fair and square.
All right, so this is where things take a daring turn. But before we get there, we have to bring up an odd subplot that I vaguely mentioned at the beginning of the episode. So, as we said, Carol is a bored housewife. She's not even a housewife. She's just a bored wife.
Yeah.
She, I guess, just kind of like takes up weird hobbies and things just to pass the time.
Yeah, she's totally like that 70s mom trying to figure out what to do with all her time. So this is before the whole mom goes back to school fad of the 90s that we've discussed.
The mom goes back to school like Cindy Walsh, enrolls in the same college as the Walsh kids.
Exactly. This is what led to that. Because, you know, she's bored. The kids don't need her on top of them. And so what is she going to do all day? Well, she decides to take up sculpting out of clay. And she's making a bust of Mike.
Out of Mike's head. And it's horrible looking. Everyone in the family comments.
It doesn't look like him at all.
No, it just looks like a blob of clay. And they're trying to figure out, like, where's the face? Where's the air? Like, what am I looking at?
Like, she gives it straight hair, and Mike obviously has curly hair. It was really weird.
Yeah, and it had no facial features. And Mike was, like, posing for a really long time for this. Like, he had to stay still. And he had, like, blueprints to draw. He had things to do.
Yeah, he had stuff he wanted to do, but instead he's, like, trapped in the family room.
For hours, dealing with
Carol and the clay.
Carol and the clay, her latest fad. She was so devoted to this that she was going to enter some kind of, like, art contest, like, at the
community centers.
Yeah. You see that, and it's like, what's like the law of Chekhov's gun? If you see a gun in the first act, you know it's going to be used.
See it, and you know it's going to go off.
So, Chekhov's clay sculpture head. You see Carol's clay sculpture. You know it's going to come into play. Brady Bunch it's such a paint by number show. Like, you kind of always predict the next step.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm going to be disappointed if I don't see this happen.
Yeah, I want to see this thing smashed on the floor. I want someone to take a baseball bat to it. Like, I hope this happens.
Like, we might not be smashing pumpkins, but we're smashing Mike Brady's head. And that sounds so wrong and so bad.
We're going to jump back to where we were. It's the day after the boys were pranked back at.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, Alice is kind of being all brave and very proud of herself. Like, oh, I don't believe in ghosts. There's no such thing. I can't believe, like, you kids thought of this. And then Marshall's like, you don't even believe in werewolves?
Yeah.
Like, werewolf is, like, obviously what is said, but she pronounces it werewolves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Nellie, hot and her kind of thing.
Yeah, hot and her.
Like, Air Force Ones. So, Maureen McCormick does not know what a werewolf is. Like, she must have read the script and just thought it was, like, the word were.
Okay, I really hope that if she survives on Dancing with the Stars until, like, the night they have to do the Halloween dances, that she has to dress up as a werewolf.
Is she on Twitter?
I think so, probably. I think they all are. I think all the surviving Bradys are.
We definitely should tweet her and kind of get to the bottom of this.
She would probably hate us if she actually ever listened to this podcast.
Yeah, were we favorable of Marsha in the previous...
No. Definitely not in Day by Day because she was pregnant.
Yeah, she was noticeably pregnant, and we were just kind of, like, inappropriately commenting on that. And then I think...
Because we are terrible, awful people.
In A Very Brady Christmas, I think she had, like, one of the weakest subplots, I believe, of all the Brady kids.
She did, and she had, like, the worst kids. And I think we ripped the kids apart more than her.
We mostly ripped apart. I'm pretty sure she won't get mad at us for making fun of our fictional children.
You never know.
Was Marsha the one who was getting divorced?
No, that was Jan.
That was Jan. Marsha's husband was laid off from the toy company.
Yeah.
And they were, like, trying to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
But it was so obvious because they would be, like, in the next room arguing and, like, everyone could hear it.
Yeah, because there's, like, no walls. It's just, like, a half wall and then, like, the shutter doors.
Yes, we've talked about this in other episodes. I think in the last year's Rosie and Halloween episode, it's a big TV trope where characters get into an argument and they want to, like, talk about someone that's in the same house. They just go to, like, the next room.
Yeah.
You can still hear people, like, a room over. Like, before we were recording, I was in the other room and you could hear me talking through my mic.
I was totally freaked out because I didn't realize you had a roommate. I was like, oh my god, what the hell is happening?
You can hear me from 2 time zones away. I'm sure that the whole Brady Bunch clan can hear Marsha and her husband arguing the next room over.
Well, yeah, I'm sure, like, there are times I can hear stuff going on above me in my stepmother's office, and occasionally I can hear stuff in the room next door.
It's the speed of sound. It'll travel. It'll travel through walls.
Exactly.
I think the only time you can't hear, like, stuff is, like, when you're underwater or in space. That's supposedly in space. No one can hear you scream. Is that the...
Or something like that. Or when you have just a lot of earwax in your ears.
Yeah. Or if you're deaf or you shut your hearing aid off.
Yeah.
So Marsha obviously doesn't know what a werewolf is. And Alice is not afraid of werewolves. She's not afraid of anything.
She ain't afraid of no ghost.
No. She invented the Ghostbuster slogan. The kids team up, both the boys and the girls. They get this fucking genius idea. They're like, you know what? We should team up, like, combine our ghost skills and scare the living daylights out of Alice.
Yeah. They decided they just have to scare Alice. I don't know why. They're like, oh, we have to continue scaring people. Like, come on, guys.
They were on a roll, a Halloween roll, and the best laid plans happened because that was the night of the art contest. So Mike and Carol are going to be out. And Alice had a date with Sam the Butcher. Sam called and was like, hey, we should go to this new, like, Italian restaurant down the street or something. Let's check it out.
No, they were going to a drive-in movie that they'd already seen.
Oh, okay. They're probably going to see, like, what was out in 1972? Like The Exorcist, I think? Godfather?
Probably just something like cheesy and random that they didn't really care to watch again. They just wanted to spend some time alone.
Well, back in these days, movies did not get released on video, home video, so the only time you ever saw movies was if by chance they aired it on television, like the 3 channels you had, or it got re-released in the cinema. I believe Alice and Sam went to a movie they already saw so they could fool around. Wasn't there like a weird sexual connotation?
Yes, it's totally, they want to go to this drive-in movie that they've already seen so they can fool around. Can't you just go back to Sam's place?
Yeah, or just go into Alice's room. Like, I'm sure the kids aren't going to go in there. No one ever goes into Alice's room.
Something.
The adults are really horny on this show.
Well, yeah, they are.
You didn't really get any, like, Carol and Mike action. Usually it's them two, like, making weird jokes to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I guess Mike must have been fed up with Carol this week because of the whole, like, art contest thing.
Well, yeah, because he's had to sit there all week just later so she could do the stupid clay head.
Mike just popped one off on his own that week and went on with the day.
Oh my god.
Alright, so with Carol, Mike, and Alice out of the house, all the adults, the Brady kids, like, this is perfect. We have, like, a few hours to kind of get our whole, like, thing together. And what they come up with is just awful. Like, it wasn't even scary.
They came up with, like, better stuff to scare each other than what they actually ended up doing to scare Alice.
So they found, like, a skeleton, like a plastic skeleton toy head, which I guess you can put, like, a light in there and its face will light up. If you're looking at it in the dark, you're just going to see, like, a skeletal face.
Yeah, you're just going to see, like, the glowing eyes and mouth and nose or whatever.
Then they took, like, a volleyball. They wrapped one of Carol's good white sheets around it, put two, like, black eye holes on it to make it look like the classic, like, sheet ghost.
Yes, basically Charlie Brown's Halloween costume.
They went up to the second floor. They took a picture off the wall.
No, they didn't take a picture off the wall. They should have taken a picture off the wall. And then they would have had to put another nail in the wall, but instead they put a nail in the wall above the picture.
Yeah, so Bobby hammers a nail into the wall, ties the fishing line around it, and they created like a runner. So when Alice came home, the ghost would run down the line and go down the stairs like it's actually coming at her. And then they had Cindy scream into the tape recorder. Just her doing like a Jamie Lee Curtis scream.
Yeah, a Scream Queens kind of thing.
Yes, so that was like their whole thing. As soon as it got dark out, they just shut off all the lights. They all hid in their posts, and they just waited for like hours for someone to come home.
Yeah, they just like waited for somebody to come home. But of course, guess what happens? Alice is not the one who comes home first.
No, it's Mike and Carol. You know what they should have done? Someone should have waited at the door.
Yeah.
And waited by the window and just like, oh shit, it's mom and dad. Like, turn the lights back on.
These kids thought their parents were going to be gone for, like, hours upon hours.
No, they just went to, like, an art contest.
Yeah, but the kids thought, like, the parents were going to be gone, like, all night, while Alice was only going to be gone a couple hours.
They might actually, like, maybe normally they go out all night.
Maybe.
Like, they usually have these, like, wild nights they go dancing.
Where do you think Mike and Carol are going if they're out all night?
They go drinking. Are you kidding me? They have fucking 6
Are they going to the swingers club? Are they going to swingers parties? Key parties?
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Mike looks like he has a little mean streak going on there.
Oh man, that took a drastic turn.
Yes, but they came home like early this night.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what'd be weird? If, let's say, Mike and Carol went to like the swinger party and like Alice and Sam the Butcher were there.
Oh my god. Oh no.
Alice seems like the experimental type, so I think she'd be all for it.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know, like, there's times when it's just Alice and Carol at home during the day. All the kids are at school, Mike's working.
Okay, this is going too far.
Am I like soiling your childhood?
Yes.
The new saying. I just like Lady Ghostbustered you right there.
Yeah, you just Lady Ghostbustered me, thanks.
My apologies to the soul of Ann B. Davis.
God damn you, Patrick.
I think there's definitely a kinky side to Alice that we'll explore the next time we do something Brady Bunch related.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe when we do the Brady Bunch movie, we'll get into Alice.
Oh, do we have those on the pipeline someday?
We'll eventually get there. You have to.
Considering how obsessed we are with the Brady Bunch, probably, yeah.
And we should do this at least a sequel soon because the A Very Brady sequel turns 20 this year.
Oh, it does?
It already did. It turned like 20 like a few weeks back.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
There's a little known The Brady Bunch in the White House, which was a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah, it was made for like Fox.
Yes, it aired in 2002, and it's, I guess, the Brady Bunch, like Mike's elected president of the U.S. or something. We could do that for election season.
Wow. I think, we did kind of cover elections already with Dobie Gillett.
That is true. All right, as I mentioned, Mike and Carol come home first. The kids don't realize that it's Mike and Carol, so they start their prank.
Mhm.
They light the skeleton face, the ghost comes down the stairs, the scream tape plays, and Mike and Carol just standing there. Like, they obviously knew it was their kids. They're not even, like, surprised. Mike's like, oh, God. He was more pissed that the kids shut off, like, the fuse breaker. He puts down the bust, Mike's head clay bust, on, like, the table, and they leave the room to go turn the lights on. And as soon as they exit the room, the kids are still hiding because they're, like, scared shitless at this point. They're, like, staying put where they are.
Yeah, because they know they're in trouble now.
Alice comes in the house, and she just sees, like, the shadow of the bust, so she thinks it's, like, an intruder. So she, like, karate chops it. It falls off the table, smashes it into, like, a million little pieces. And that's when, like, the lights turn on. And Carol comes in, she's like, oh my God, like, my bust is broken. And then there's, like, a ribbon on it, like a prize ribbon.
Yeah, it's like third place.
Yeah, and Jan's like, oh my God, I didn't even win a prize. And then Carol's like, oh, no, my third place prize. Like, she was proud of third. Like, that thing won third place. I can only imagine what the other...
Maybe there were only 3 entries.
That is true. I mean, I can't imagine that many people in this town being into clay sculpting enough to warrant, like, a whole art contest.
I mean, yeah.
But I'm like, if that was third place, could you imagine what, like, fourth place looked like?
Oh, God. Yikes. Yikes, 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 yikes-a-bee.
But there were actually... It was significantly better when it was finished.
Yeah.
Because they showed it for a second, I think, before it broke.
Yeah, they showed it for a second. Like, she glazed it in a nice bronze color, so it looked like a bronze sculpture.
Obviously, what happened is the prop designer just went to the store and bought one.
Yeah, they probably just, like, or, like, the prop designer is actually an artist and could actually do one.
The kids are in trouble. They all lose their allowance. They get no allowance for, like, the rest of the month, I think is what
2 weeks.
Mike said. Yeah, the kids were pissed because now they all couldn't buy their, like, telescopes and kitty carry-all and boxcar racers.
Yeah, like, whatever mess these kids want.
And they're, like, marching up the stairs, and they're all like, oh, we feel so bad. This is the worst day ever. Like, they do this thing where they instantly have to, like, have remorse, because I guess they probably didn't want, like, kids all across the country, like, repeating this kind of shenanigans.
Exactly. You don't need a bunch of kids, like, creating pranks and trying to scare each other.
Imitating all this stuff. So for the tag to the episode, for, like, the post-credits scene, Carol, she's still sticking with the clay skeleton, but I guess she won third prize for her bust of Mike's head, so she upgrades to making a Greek statue.
Yes, and she's got Alice posing for her this time. And Mike's like, where's this thing gonna go? She's like, oh, in the yard. Yeah, because in the yard, it's not gonna get broken by these kids.
No, I can see a football smashing into that thing, or like a wagon.
Oh no, my Greek sculpture! We told you not to play ball in the backyard.
That is a bold thing for Carol to make, because she was making a life-size sculpture. That one takes a lot of clay. Does she have a kiln that big?
Yeah.
Like, where is she gonna, like, cook this thing?
I don't know where she put firing these. You don't just buy a kiln for your house. You know what I mean?
And one that you can put, like, a 6-foot statue in.
Yeah.
Like the Justice for All lady.
Carol makes no sense to me.
She should just stick to taking uppers and maybe, like, get into, like, a soap or something.
Yeah, like, why wasn't she watching General Hospital or something?
Or Mike could have just bought her, like, a typewriter. Maybe she can just, like, write.
They have typewriters. They have, like, 3 typewriters in that house. 3 or 4. Because there was, like, that whole thing where Jan got the locket and they were trying to, like, figure out who sent it to her because the Y dropped and they were trying to, like, test all the typewriters. And it was really Alice.
All in all, what were your thoughts on Fright Night?
I mean, it wasn't very frightening, but it would probably freak me out as, like, a little kid.
Sheet Ghost would have scared you.
Oh, yeah, probably. I mean, I definitely got freaked out during, like, the whole Tiki God episodes, which are just a few episodes before this one. You know?
Normally, when we do podcasts, I like to watch the episode, like, 2 or 3 times just to kind of make sure I didn't miss any detail. I could not bring myself to watch this a second time.
Yeah, I was about to put it on this afternoon for a second time. I was like, you know what? There's no need.
It's paint by numbers. You just have to remember the basics. The girls get pranked, the boys get pranked, they team up.
And then they try to prank Alice.
Carol is crazy. Mike is fed up with everything.
Yeah, Mike is just, like, Oh my god, this woman needs a new hobby. Like, do you think while Mike was sitting there, he was just trying to think, like, what hobby has my wife not tried yet that I could get her into where I don't have to sit here?
Yeah, this is like the Homer gets a new job in every episode of The Simpsons kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
Like, it's a running theme. But one thing I wanted to bring up before we depart for the night, the Brady Bunch house was recently broken into.
Oh, it was?
Like, happened a few weeks back. House used for exterior shots only.
Yeah, the one that you see and you're like, oh, that's the Brady Bunch house.
Yes, so family still lives there apparently, and I guess someone was upstairs, like, there was a woman who lives in the house, she's like an elderly woman, she like heard people downstairs, so she went she went downstairs and saw like 2 people take off, and I think they ran off with a few things.
Oh my god, that's so sad.
Poor Brady Bunch house. So there so I was reading the article on TMZ, there were a few notable comments on the article. So one person wrote, I think it was Marsha that broke in, looking for her virginity that Greg stole.
Oh.
Someone also wrote, I say they call Jessica Fletcher, get her on the case, and all will be fixed within 60 minutes.
But somebody will be dead if you call Jessica Fletcher in.
That is true. Probably the lady that lived there.
Oh, poor lady.
And then a huge interesting fact that we found out about the real-life Brady Bunch house. Someone commented they lived down the street. The Brady Bunch house is now a Poke-Stop for Pokemon Go.
Okay. I don't play Pokemon Go, so...
But that's a big thing. So if you live in North Hollywood or wherever the Brady Bunch house is, definitely swing by, fire up your iPhone, and find yourself some rare Pokemon.
Yeah, hopefully you get, like, good ones. Like, I don't even know what a good one is, I'll be completely honest. Is a Pikachu a good one?
I think that's like the main one. I think that one, the one that comes with the game, I don't know. I don't know anything about Pokemon.
Yeah, I know nothing.
Yeah, so if you live in the area, you listen to the podcast, definitely tweet us and let us know what Pokemon are around the Brady Bunch house.
Mm-hmm.
And tweet us at Very Podcast and definitely let us know and we'll get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, totally.
But we also did find out one other exciting thing. So I'm a huge X-Files fan, but I didn't really watch much of the last season. However, we just learned tonight that there was an X-Files episode that actually involves someone breaking into the Brady Bunch house. So we are already talking about when we are going to squeeze this into the podcast. So you'll definitely hear that in the future. So as I said, we'll never get out of...
Once we track down that episode?
We'll never get out of the Brady Bunch world.
Never. It's always going to come back.
Because it's so ingrained in pop culture.
So ingrained in our own brain.
Yes. Ingrained in the membrane. All right, so we're coming up to our anniversary episode soon. We've been doing this for 2 years, so we have some special events going on. You are sure to hear about the next couple of days. We'll make a big announcement on our Twitter page, so definitely look for us at Very Podcast. All right, so that was a fun episode of Here Comes the Booze, the podcast within the podcast. Definitely check us out, and I guess as always,
bye.
Until next time.
Autumn turns to winter, and then winter turns to spring. It's not just the seasons, you know it comes.